that sometimes when you get into your worst moments in life, what makes us get through the most is the fact that we're surrounded by people who are going through with us, but we're not constantly being reminded of what we're in. Our focus now is, even though we're right here where we are, in just a few more days, we'll be out of this position. And I came to encourage somebody today that has been going through from January all the way until now. You got a few more days. And heaven has declared over your life today that in a few days, I wish somebody would talk back to me, that in a few days, I'm going to be up out of this thing. Why don't you testify to somebody and say, you're going to be out in a few days. It may not look like it right now. Wind's blowing and there's a storm out there over that ocean, but in a few days, you're going to be out of this storm. And so while going through, there were a few trees. Even though that there were some trees that were knocked over, there were a few trees that were still standing. So on my way here today, I was riding down the highway and I seen these trees on the side of the road. These trees that were on the side of the road began to have a conversation with me, if you will. I'm not crazy by a long shot, but these trees began to have a conversation with me, and I wanted to know, because I'm a thinker, I'm a critical thinker, how is it that these trees are still standing? Left here in 2005, and from 2005 to 2019, there were still hurricanes that still come through this place, but I still wanted to know, how is it that the trees are still standing? The Lord told me, he said that there's a theory about trees that some of us don't understand. I told y'all I'm almost finished. So if you were waiting to shout, you better shout right now, because I'm not going to be up here for very long. So in order for you to be like a tree that is not moved, the Lord gave me these three things. He said, number one, you are going to have to be patient with yourself. Tell somebody, I need to be patient with me. Because the truth is, you do not know it all. Some things you have no clue about. And just because you never heard of something doesn't mean it doesn't exist or it's not happening. So I don't allow a lot of things to frustrate me, because I know that I am still growing. So a tree, when planted, it's not frustrated with its growth. It knows that it had to adapt to the environment where it's at. It has to be patient. And the thing that I learned, Pastor Philpart, Lady Philpart, is that we don't like that word patient. So the book of James tells us, but let patience have her perfect work. And this is why, that ye may be perfect and entire. And the last part says, wanting for nothing. So the reason why we can't get what it is that we need is because we don't know how to be patient. God designed this thing where we want for nothing. And just do what I told you. So just like that tree, he says, I want you to be patient just like that tree. Adapt to the environment so you can go through whatever it is that you need to go through. So number one, just like the tree, you got to be patient. And number two, and y'all please get this one. He said, trees know when to let leaves go. Trees know when to let leaves go. At some point, leaves begin to change. Usually, this can happen because of the season or because the leaves aren't exposed to the proper sunlight. For whatever reason, when those leaves fall off that tree, they stay on the ground and the tree is not trying to pick the leaves back up. For those things that have fallen off you, especially people, stop trying to pick them back up and reconnect. Tell somebody there are some things you are going to have to let go. Stop holding on to the things that aren't producing anymore. Some phone calls you just can't take no more. Some places you just can't go. I came to tell somebody to be like that tree and let those leaves go, because something else is getting ready to grow. Look at somebody and say, something else is about to grow outside. Come on, y'all got to say it. Something else is getting ready to spring forth. And before it springs forth, I got to let some things go. Tell them what you got to let go. I got to let go the hate. I've got to let go the hurt. I've got to let go the trauma. I got to let go the memory of what happened to me years ago. Because what God is getting ready to do for me is something greater than I ever expected. Well, can I put some scripture on it? For eyes have not seen, and neither has ears heard, neither has it entered into the imagination of man the great things that God has for me. Why don't you tell somebody behind you, we've got to let it go, 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 let it go. It is time to prosper. It's time to endure. It's time to get what God has for me. And until I get what he has for me, I got to let some things go. That when we have meetings, and I'm going to speak from a school teacher's perspective, I ain't talking about nobody in here, because this don't go on at this church. When people show up to meetings, when I show up to a meeting, I'm going in there because I'm like, you know what? We had this problem the last time, so I'm showing up so that we can fix whatever happened. There are some people who decide that when they come in, I ain't trying to fix nothing. What I'm trying to do is to get my point across. And I want you to understand what I got to say. It's those type of leaves that we need to let go. They ain't producing nothing. All they doing is taking up space. And so just like this tree, the tree knows when to let those leaves go. Because God is so faithful that when one thing falls off, he won't put another thing on. He'll remind you that it's according to the power that works within you. So when you let it go, when it falls off, something comes up out of you to grow into that place. So for everybody in here that has had a void or feel like there's a void, he's getting ready to fill that space. So trees have to be like a tree to know when to be patient. You got to be patient with yourself. Number 2, trees know when to let leaves go. Last but not least, trees are confident in their growth because their roots run deep. Their roots run deep. Their roots run deep. When trees are uprooted, we know that in our front yard or wherever we're traveling to, that these trees, you come to find out that the roots don't just run in your yard. They run in the neighbor's yard. They run in the street, but underneath the pavement where they planted cement at. So these roots run real deep. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you how I'm going with this. So as the roots run deep, no matter what you place on top of it, the roots are still strong enough to remain where they are. And if the roots are too strong, they'll start coming up through the pavement, and we got to start the process back over again like years ago and put cement back on to hold them down. It's because roots cannot always stay hidden. Every now and then, they've got to show themselves. Who am I talking to today? I'm talking to somebody that has gone through life and gone through life so much. And you've experienced things that if you were to tell Pastor Philpart about them, that he would tell you that I don't believe what you're talking about. If you were to whisper those things in Minister Jordan's ear, Jordan would tell you, you probably need some help because there's not nothing that I can do for you. If you call my phone and tell me about some of the things that you've experienced, I'll probably tell you that I'm going to refer you to one of my professional friends because that is out of my league. Because there are some things that all of us have had to endure and go through our life that if we were to tell you about it, you would look at us and say, man, you should be dead. You should be crazy. You should be somewhere living out on the streets and with a sign up that says that I need help. But I came here today because there are some people who have not succumbed to those experiences that they've gone through. No, I'm talking about experiences. For some of us, it's been through the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, the 2000s, and some of us don't want to be honest about those things, and it's all right because I'm not asking you to spill all of your stuff. But what I am here to declare and tell you today is the reason why you have not broken, the reason why you have not let go, the reason why you have not given up, the reason why you have not thrown in the towel is because of the roots that run so deep. And the roots that I'm talking about started a long time ago when mama used to pray for you, when daddy used to pray for you, when grandma used to pray for you. You've got to be like that tree and remind yourself every now and then that I'm not going to break. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to throw in the towel. I'm not going to let people in their opinions push me out of the place where God told me to be at. I'm going to be just like that tree that's planted by the rivers of living water. And I made this declaration and I'll declare it to you. Before I leave this lifetime, I'm going to get everything that God has for me. Plant me just like that tree. Why don't you tell somebody, I shall not be moved. I will not be moved. Come hell or come high water, I'm gonna stay right where I am. The seasons may change, but I'm going to remain. People may come and go, but I'm going to remain. I've got friends that may give up on me, but I'm going to remain. Do I have anybody in here today that's going to remain where you're at? And just like that tree that's planted by the rivers of living water,